Florida State has been picked to get beat by Pittsburgh? Really?
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today, we're going to have a mailbag at the end of the show. A lot of people commenting about the Miami game and the possibilities that are going on with Pittsburgh. Some of the key players for the Noles, whether they're happy or, quite frankly, some that are not very happy. We're also going to discuss 5 players that I'm picking that must hit against Pittsburgh. And in particular, we're going to talk about Darrell Jackson. To me, this is a very easy one. He is by far the most important player in this game because if he does not help set the tone early on and Pitt's offense can run and pass, it's going to come down to the wire, and that is not good for Florida State. But to start the show, again, as I opened with, Pittsburgh has been projected as the winner. College Football News on X picked the Pittsburgh Panthers to win 31-27. This is an X profile that has over 100,000 followers, and they do all things college football. Okay, fair enough. Is it really realistic? Yes, it's possible. But it's different when somebody that doesn't have a real say in the game, just somebody out there in general that covers the sport from a broad swath, throws it out there that they're picking Pitt to win. So I'm going to give you a few reasons why, okay, I can possibly see it. And I'm also going to squash it with a few reasons that it definitely should not happen. Let's start with the negative and we'll work towards the positive. Number one, let's go with the low-hanging fruit here. Florida State is going to come in flat as a 20-year-old Coke can. Why? Because they just lost an emotional game to their rival. This happens constantly in college football. And if you don't believe me, just call up James Franklin. How'd that go against UCLA for the Penn State Nittany Lions? Team they didn't really want to play, but one had a very unique talent in Nico Iamaleava at quarterback, and a few good players on the defensive side finally stepped up. A few offensive guys definitely did. They lit them up for 42. Did anybody see that coming? I mean, really? This is the first time in 40 years, by the way, 1985, since a team that was in the top 10 lost to a team that was 0-4. So that just shows you how emotion plays a bigger role at the college level than the pros. Like they talk about it all the time. If you ask the sharps in Vegas, it's a lot easier to bet on pro than it is college because of that reason. And Florida State's just another college team with a lot of guys that are emotional. How do they handle the Florida State players? How do they handle the emotion of the Miami game? Will they come in ready to play after a full week of practice where they were actually dialed in, or did they go through the motions? By the middle of the first quarter, we're going to know the answer to that question. And if it does not go well early on and Pitt can sense it, this game will go down to the wire. And yes, the Panthers can absolutely win, and that would just be a death knell to this season for the Noles. Now, here's the other reason. Believe it or not, and I'm having a hard time even saying this out loud, even though I saw it with my own 2 eyes. If I hadn't watched the film, I wouldn't have believed it. Heitzel, their young quarterback, steal of the year. Made his debut as the starter last week. Lit it up against Boston College, who I know is terrible. Not debating that. For those of you that have not watched, go to YouTube. Just type in Pitt versus Boston College highlights. There's several different people that have thrown them up. Just go watch. On time, accurate, throws well, under pressure, gets the ball out fast. He acts like a fifth-year senior much more than he does a true freshman. Now, to be clear, Pitt's O-line is not good. And they've got some guys beat up. He did make plays under duress, but he still was under duress against BC. That's not a great D-line or really a whole much anything. I like their quarterback, but Lonergan's good. They don't have a ton of great players, and they still got pressure. So that By the way, that's another reason I'm bringing up Darrell Jackson here in just a few minutes. But Florida State should be able to get some pressure without bringing more than 4. Been talking about this for weeks. And again, this is a litmus test. If Florida State cannot get pressure consistently with just 4 guys, even if they beat Pittsburgh, that's a sign that probably a couple more losses are coming. Pittsburgh's O-line is not that good. They're not. Quarterback's fairly mobile. He can avoid pressure, and the running backs are pretty athletic. They got 2 pretty good players, but they're not opening big holes for the run game to set up play action, and he's sitting back there all day. Heichel has to move around quite a bit to get passes off. So Florida State's got a chance. To that point, here are 2 reasons that I think Florida State can win. First, let's look at it from the emotional side on the other side, the positive. They take it out on Pittsburgh. This is the other possibility. You come out mad, focused, and yes, Florida State has far more talent than Pittsburgh. That's not a newsflash. No idea which one it's going to be. The chances of it being somewhere in the middle, though, very, very low. Either the Noles will come out ready like gangbusters, or again, like a 20-year-old can of Coke, just flat as can be. We'll see pretty quickly, and I think by the middle, I'd say the middle of the first quarter, we'll know on that. And then the other point that I just mentioned, I think that while Florida State's front 7 is not in any way, shape, or form dominant, it does have a lot of size. It's got a lot of experience. And while the Desir twins are true freshmen, they're a little bit different than most. And I also think, based on the information from this week's press conferences, Amari is focusing not all the way, but mostly on defense. And I think I'm going to count him now as a true defensive end. And he is that one guy that I've been talking about Florida State doesn't have. He might be the most important guy on the roster right now, as crazy as that may sound for the long term. He could be that outside linebacker if he commits full time to defense that rushes the passer. He's 6'3" at least, probably 6'4", and he's twitchy, he's athletic, he's fast, he's all those things. I watched him run 11-1 in high school at 215 pounds. I don't know what he would run now, but big guys just don't run like he does. Very unique football player and person on and off the field. Amari's a guy that could end up being potentially Florida State's big-time player to somewhere down the road, and maybe this is his breakout game. Somebody, again, Pitt's O-line is not that good, has to kind of break the dam, and Florida State's pass rush with 4 has to get home. We'll see if that happens. And just to throw out another point, I don't know enough about Pitt's defense. Well, they blitz and they play man. It's the same defense that group has run for years. They do a good job. But don't be surprised if Florida State breaks the dam a few times on offense with really, really generic plays, draws, and screens. Pittsburgh's going to blitz. Just by pure luck, Florida State might catch him in a blitz and get a walk-in touchdown from 80. 1 or 2 of those plays early changes the play calling for the rest of the game. Again, the first 8 minutes of the football game between the Pitt Panthers and the Florida State Seminoles, paramount. We will know a lot right off the bat. When we come back, I'm going to give you 5 players overall that have to hit in this game. Absolutely have to hit. And it's not just because Florida State needs these guys to win to defeat the Panthers. I will explain more next here on Locked On Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Mazda, who crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I truly appreciate it. I'm Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst, bringing you all my insights and thoughts on Florida State football. We'll soon move into basketball some too. I want to get through this week and see how it goes, but basketball is right around the corner. I'm going to be covering that a little bit as well. Now let's talk about the 5 players that I think, in descending order, that are really important for this game, and I'll explain why. This is just from a Florida State perspective, but I've got logic behind each one of these picks. First one, Usman Chroma, the running back, used freshman, started the game against the Canes. Mentally, though, he's probably pretty ticked at himself. He fumbled. It was a big play in the game. The Noles lost it. Is he ready to get back on the saddle and let that ride? You got to forget about it. You can't change the past. And he's probably Florida State's most talented running back, and he's freshman. We need to see him be, productive against Pitt to help win, obviously. But this is more about the long term. Florida State's not a national title contender this year. That's not really a newsflash after the Miami game. They're not. But you need him getting better and better and better and pushing guys that are ahead of him and just helping the roster overall with running the football, taking pressure off other players while other guys get back into the mix, like Landon Thomas. They talked about him a little bit. He's looking for his way back in after he missed so much of fall camp, etc. Like, there are a lot of guys coming off injury in some capacity. Squirrel's been banged up. Lil Wayne's been banged up. Boggs has been banged up. Like, they have just so many guys. We need to see Chroma, who's pretty healthy by all measurements, take that next step and help everybody else out. If Chroma comes out, and let's just throw numbers out here, 18 carries for 102 yards and a score, would it shock me? No. The only thing about it is, and I'm not sure if this will continue because I'm not sure why Gus has done it this way this year. Didn't do it at UCF. He's really went with committee. Florida State, I thought, would do that to a certain degree, but eventually kind of transition, they'd figure it out. Well, for one, Rodell's been banged up. I'll give you that. Sawchuk, he's had his nicks and bruises, but not a huge deal, I don't think, for the most part. He should be good to go. Had the most carries, I believe, against Miami. And then now, Chroma pretty much knows the offense about as well as he needs to for a true freshman. It's time for him to ascend and get 10-plus carries every single game. When Gus was at UCF, he would ride one guy. He did it every year he was there. Some other guys would get carries, but like 2/3 of the carries went to the main guy. Is that going to happen with Chroma? I could see it happening at least for the rest of the year. He's really talented. Number 4, and this one's from a more concerning standpoint, but it still needs to be addressed. Gunnar Hansen is not the greatest pass protector, but he's your left tackle. I think, really, he would be better off as a guard or right tackle. Florida State's just not in a good spot at left tackle. They're not. They've got young guys that aren't quite ready. Maybe Lucas Simmons could beat him out by the end of the year. I don't know. But right now, Gunnar Hansen is your left tackle. I just need to see him play better. I'm straight up calling him out. In pass pro against Pittsburgh, that will not be fun. Not only do they have speed rushers and just good players, their scheme is just super annoying for offensive linemen because they are going to show about every kind of pressure known to man, and it's going to be something different on every play. It's more mental, really, than physical. They're looking to get a free rusher just by showing you something different and kind of like forest for the trees. The obvious play, it's kind of like a punt block. How did that guy get through? And you see two guys split, and here comes a guy right down the middle, and there's a punt block. That's how a lot of sacks happen too. Mental errors. But even when he's been one-on-one, like he got destroyed last week on several plays against Messidor and/or Ruben Bain, he was not good. And there were several other guys for Florida State did not block very well, Medley, etc. Florida State overall, as an offensive line, I need to see pass protection be better. I could have mentioned this actually in the first part where I talked about Pitt being possibly a winner. And again, College Football News picked them 31-27 over Florida State. Pitt 31, Florida State 27. That's their pick, not mine. But still, I get it. If he starts off slow and it causes problems on the offensive line, yes, this game could turn in a really ugly way very quickly. Guarantee you, with Pittsburgh's extremely veteran defensive staff / head coach, who's a defensive-minded guy, if Hansen starts slowly and they're going to test him, guarantee it. I would too. That's not going to end. It'll be every single play. That's who they come after with a different look, with a fresh defensive end, over and over every single play. And it can cause Florida State to lose. They're going to come after Hansen. Does he deliver? Number 3. This one I feel a little better about. The more I've thought about it, I brought it up on Tuesday's show. Wayne McCoy. He's trending. Will he end up being the number 2 We already know Deuce is good. I'm not even going to bring him. He's not on this list. He'll have a good game against Pitt because he'll catch a couple 50-50 balls. He'll have 80 to 100 yards, in my opinion, and a touchdown. They ride or die with man coverage. If you get 300 yards passing in the first half against their cover one, you might get 300 in the second half. They will not change. Pittsburgh's staff is the most stubborn in college football, and that is saying something. They do it one way. This is who we are. If we lose 50-0, that's okay. We're doing it this way. I don't agree with it, but that's what they do. They've got corners that are playing man. Deuce is going to have some plays, but that also means they could still do some different things with fire zone. They could do some things with their safety rolling to Deuce's side, the linebacker taking the flat. Like, they're going to try to play some games with that too, and that's going to open up space for Pittman. That's going to open up space for Squirrel. That's somebody we still need to see. But again, the guy that I'm really looking at here is Lil Wayne. He's twitchy as heck. The more I thought about it, I'm like, after the catch, just from somebody that's seen Lil Wayne play multiple times, like in high school, that's not fun to tackle. And he seems to have some chemistry with Tommy. If Lil Wayne goes out there and catches 5 balls for 50 yards, that doesn't have to be a ton of yards, just short little intermediate passes, some will be third downs, maybe screens, whatever. He can cause some disruption. And do not be surprised if he has an 85-yard touchdown on a tunnel screen or something too. Lil Wayne can roll. He's really good at making the first guy miss. He's got great hands. This is a game he could break out. They need a definitive number 2. Definitive. Not maybe, not some of the time. Definitive. This is a game I could see McCoy becoming that player. I talked about him a little bit in the first segment. Amari Williams. This isn't going to be a real long explanation. Florida State's pass rush is beyond anemic. It is lifeless. It is a corpse. Amari, you're the only guy on the roster. Now that I'm personally going to just label you a D end. If you play some tight end, that's a bonus. I'm done with that. You're the one guy on the roster that is the 6'4", 230, 240 guy that's twitchy off the edge on the whole roster, which is still mind-boggling to me. Not fair, but it is up to you to be that guy because nobody else has stepped up. They put linebackers at the jack spot. They're doing okay, but they're not natural pass rushers. James Williams has been disappointing as a pass rusher, to say the least. Jason Jenkins hasn't done much. McCray's taken his spot. Darrell gets double-teamed a lot. Lyons has had his moments. KJ Sampson, too. We'll see what happens. I'm excited. But do I really think Kevin Wynn, who's going to play a lot of nose guard, now that he's kind of getting some – is he going to get many sacks and pressure? Probably not. Amari, it's up to you, brother. You need to show out. It's not a fair thing that I'm asking, but it's got to happen. If Florida State's going to finish the year with even 8 wins, they got to start getting pressure with 4. The most likely spot is the jack, but he's the only guy that really fits the profile from a measurable standpoint. The height, the length, the speed, the natural, just freaky athlete stuff that you have to play that spot, he's the guy. Let's see if he can really rise to the occasion. Again, as I've said multiple times during this episode, Pittsburgh's O-line is not that good. They're in the 100s, like pass pro and some of their run stuff, like they struggle, and they've got some injuries too. So let's see what happens. And then finally, it might surprise a few people that I'm picking in number 1, but I'll explain in depth. Darrell Jackson Jr. He's my number 1 guy for Florida State to beat Pitt. And the prime reason, there are sub-points to this, but the prime reason, if you slow down Pitt's run game, which you should in general, but if you really bludgeon it in that first drive or two, Heitzel's a good quarterback. But there is not a quarterback on planet Earth that wants to be in 3rd and 8. He is a true freshman. I still believe Florida State has some stuff they could use, fire zone, etc. I know they're a predominantly zone team. I'm not enamored with that, but that's what Tony White runs. He can throw into those windows. If he's got a clean pocket, yes, I know he's a true freshman. This is a rare bird in terms of his accuracy. He'll pick Florida State apart. 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, and he's pretty mobile. He will be super, he's kind of like Mendoza that transferred to Indiana. He's that annoying guy. 3rd down, he's just kind of a money player. That's who he is. I think that he will give Florida State fits. 3rd and 8, you can drop and play zone a heck of a lot easier, which means, and I know he's going to get doubled a lot. I think Florida State will have to move him around. We'll see if they do that. Darrell has to play well. Not only taking up double teams when he is doubled. It is what it is. Come hell, come high water, he's got to make some plays at the line of scrimmage and behind. They cannot get, especially again, early in the game, those first 2 drives for Pitt. If you give them hope and you see that Pitt sideline getting excited and Florida State's flat, that's no bueno. Florida State cannot allow that to happen. So the other points of that, if you get a lead, and Florida State should be able to score on them. They should be able to run the ball fairly well with their scheme. I know Pitt's ranked number 2 in the nation run defense. They'll have some success, but Florida State's probably going to hit some big plays. There won't be a lot of consistency, but are they going to tackle Tommy consistently? Not buying that. Chroma, Sawchuk, etc. Florida State's got a really good group of running backs. Don't be surprised if Jalen Lucas hits it. So if you can get a couple score lead and change how they do things, that could change the dynamics towards your sideline. And I think it starts with Darrell. Yeah, I want Amari to have a good game, and he's arguably the most important player in the program over the next 6 weeks. But big Darrell in this game to open it up for other guys, Daniel Lyons, Nicholson, etc. He's got to have a good game. And in addition to that, if you could blow them out, it'd be wonderful. Then you could do some nice things. Get KJ Sampson in the game. Get Kevin Wynn in the game. Maybe Daniel Lyons plays some notes. Maybe Jason Jenkins plays some notes. Rotate guys in. Take some pressure off Darrell. He played a ton of reps against Miami. That would be great. Just saying. When we come back, we're going to talk about the mailbag. We got some interesting comments from the Florida State faithful. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Many people can't even name their financial accounts or what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal financial tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off your organizing of finances, Monarch is there for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting. You can talk or you can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. In simple terms, it's going to put everything in front of you, make it centralized so you don't miss any opportunities to add financial wealth. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, you can actually get paid for those decisions. Don't miss the excitement of football this season with PrizePicks. Playing with PrizePicks is fun. It's a simple way to add more excitement to football. And all you got to do is pick more or less on player projections. So maybe it's somebody for your favorite team for the Chargers. Maybe it's somebody on the Colts. It doesn't make any difference which team. Pick a player, over, under on their total, yardage, interceptions, touchdowns, whatever it may be. Just make sure that you make it over, under on one or the other. And it's just got to be a few picks to make this work. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONCollege for $50 off. If you've already had $5 in a lineup, PrizePicks, it's good to be right. It is mailbag time, and there are a few things that I like about this show now that we've grown it and had some fun, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that this hasn't been the biggest surprise. Like, a lot of people really have some good comments here lately. Some positive, some negative, but here we go. This one is from Blake Nagy. What's going on, Blake? I want to see Holmes run the ball more. I commented on that. I got all these off the YouTube page on Locked On Seminoles. Is Holmes healthy? Like, he plays in spurts and then he doesn't come back in. Like, it seems odd how he gets used. He was a goal line guy. He's had a long run this year, but he never plays like 2 series in a row, even in situations. It's kind of odd to me. Blake, I'm not sure that you're wrong or anything, but is Keziah 100% healthy? And remember my rule. Every coach lies at press conferences, so I don't want to hear anything about the coaches told me this. Unless Keziah told me to my face what his health was, I don't believe it. And that's why I think that he's probably a little banged up, and that's why he hasn't gotten the ball more. Just my opinion. Who are we going to get next year out of the portal? There are no Robinsons or Castellanos. We don't know that yet. This is from Zion Equity Group 107. The portal's not even officially open, for one. I have no idea who Florida State's going to get. I'll talk about it a little bit once we get to late November. I'm not going to talk about it in October. We need to see who gets hurt. We need to see which guys get in the portal before the season, who opts out of a bowl game, all those kinds of things. Florida State is in a really unique situation because they've got a lot of juniors, seniors, and fifth-year seniors. They might have a few guys they expect to come back that don't. And it could be the other way around, too. There could be some guys that want to come to Florida State to get them back over the top. I expect it to be a tumultuous offseason right out of the gate. I expect that. But that's kind of par for the course in college football. I don't like how much Florida State is going to use the portal, probably again, but it's kind of where they are, especially offensive line. They got to take at least a couple, if not three. So we'll see. But as for the positions or the superstars, we simply just don't know yet. Rod Bostic, 26-17. Not sure if anyone was at the game, but Tommy looks too short. There were wide receivers wide open, but didn't seem like he could see them. This is one of the disadvantages of being a smaller quarterback. Tommy's not 6 foot. He's about 5'10". He's rocked up. He's athletic and all that. But just look at it this way. Micah Pettis is 6'6" conservatively. You're not really going to see over him that well. You're probably going to miss some stuff. Tommy might even take a little deeper drop than some of the other guys, and that's just kind of the way it is. I don't think there's much you can do about it. He's your quarterback for the end of the year, and we'll just see what happens. Braylon Ball, 93-59. I think Wayne is going to be wide receiver number 2 going forward. And if Deuce goes to the draft after this season, Wayne will be number 1 next year. And Boggs will be number 2 unless we go after someone in the portal, because regardless of how good these guys are, Mike is going to get 6'5" plus receivers. That's probably true. It's inevitable. Malik McClain to Johnny Wilson to now Deuce. Florida State does have a trend with big-bodied receivers, and Deuce is another really good one. I would imagine Florida State would like to go get one of those guys out of the portal again, a taller guy. Elijah Moore and some other players could develop. We'll see. But a proven, no doubt about it, it's on college film guy is going to be expensive. Let me throw out a little something here while I'm thinking of it. There's only going to be one portal window, barring something changing again, which, yes, is plausible. But they voted on it. There's only going to be the winter window. I think it's right around January 1st, give or take. Which means you don't get to go through spring and say, well, we got a problem with tackle or receiver or whatever. Now we go. Nope. You have to guess, which does 2 things. Makes it impossible. And 2, especially teams like Oregon, Miami, Texas, Ohio State, teams with truly deep pockets, they're just going to say, screw it. We're going to go out and overspend broad, Texas Tech being another, obviously, and it's going to be very competitive. Will Florida State pick at their battles? Probably. They're not going to spend as much as Tech does. Just as an example, I could see a big boundary receiver being one of those guys, though. The reason is Mike really likes him, so does Gus, and it really does create mismatches. Let's see what happens this offseason. Arab 2020, he's got a real simple question. Where's Elijah Moore? I'd love to know. 2 things, and the first is one I mentioned already. I trust nothing with injury reports. Is he healthy? We heard so much about him before his freshman year, and he's barely played in its middle of the second year. So I wonder if Elijah's healthy. Number 2, did he pick up Gus's scheme? No idea. They like him. Tim Harris Jr. has brought him up before. They need him to get on the field, but he's playing the same spot as Deuce. That's the other problem. Deuce ain't coming off the field much. He's your most guaranteed win in big money situations. We'll see if Elijah gets more playing time in the spring, but that's my guess as to why he's not really doing a whole lot. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day. Please hit that like, subscribe if you have not already, become an everydayer, and share this podcast. And if you're on Apple, there's an automatic download. Hit that button so you get Locked On Seminoles sent to you every single day. We will see you again soon.